Hey guys, this is Eric Weingarten with Weingarten Racing. Today's video is about this head, and you might be asking, finally a Ford Cleveland head. No, it's not. This is actually a small block Chevy head. This is an ex-NASCAR head, and this is the SB 2.2 head. Now, let me give you a little history to kind of get you up to date, because right away you probably heard some Ford guys usually get the terms all messed up with this. And say that Chevy just copied Ford. Incorrect. You'll see here when you look at the head how incorrect it is, but we'll go ahead and start with this. Probably in the 90s, late 90s, NASCAR, if you're running a Chevy, you were running the 18-degree bow tie head. And then I remember the article in Hot Rod Magazine, it was the head that NASCAR outlawed, and it was this head, and it was the SB2. And it was very similar to what you see here, and that was like 97, maybe 98. About 98, this version came out, which is the 2.2. They altered the valve angle slightly and moved the positions on both the intake and exhaust. And from that point on, it was the SB 2.2. So most of the times, if you ever get a head that looks like this, chances are it's an SB 2.2, not just SB2. To my knowledge, I only had that for like 1 or 2 years. This, of course, being the better version. So you might say, well, how is this different than the Ford? Because you said it's not a Ford. Well, if you look at it, instantly you could tell. If you had a Ford head, at the time, by the way, in NASCAR, Fords were running the C3 head, which is a canted valve head much like this. And the Chevys are running this wedge. All their valves are in line, 18-degree deal. And they're still keeping up, but it didn't seem quite fair. And then they outlawed this head, which I always thought, that's weird because, Fords have a canted valve head. They've had that one for years. Why now? Eventually, this got approved for use in NASCAR. How is it different from the Ford? This is the big one. If you had a Ford, when I say canted valve, what happens is on a wedge head, the valve just moves straight up and down. On a canted valve head, the valve's not only moving out, it's tilted that way. So it's moving away from the bore. So the valve, when it opens, it's going this direction. You can see from the way it's tilted, not when I show you the intake face, you get a better view. A Ford is different from the Chevys because the Ford's chamber, if this was this one cylinder, it would look like this all the way down. They were all the same. Looking at this, that is not the case. And you know this if you ever did a valve job on one of these. These two ports right here, their valves are turning this way, or opening at an angle like this. These two are opening the opposite way, that way. And you might say, why? Because this head was designed for the single plane intake manifold that they had to run. So when you flip it over to the other side, which I'll show you in a second, if you think about the intake manifold being here, you have runners that come in this way and the runners that come in this way. If you have them all facing the same way, this side will be perfect. It's getting the air right. But when the manifold's going this way, you're now having have the air turn the wrong way, or turn it counterintuitive, I guess. So having it this way, and then on the manifold, it's turning this way, it worked out better. Also, if you notice, the exhaust ports are still like small block Chevy stuff. They're right together. Now, obviously, because they ran these in NASCAR, they added a lot more additional cooling passages. You can see how much bigger they are here, and you can see little spots here for them to run additional cooling and stuff. The idea to make it last for the 500 lap deals. These, you can never tell what valve sizes that they had because it varied. Because this same head, when it got approved, it was also used in NASCAR Truck Series, Busch Series. I think we're allowed to use these as well. So the port sizes, they're all over the place between them being Cup, Busch, Truck. So this particular set's a 218 and a 1625, if I believe right. So anyway, these are just not the most common sizes. These are great for circle track, by the way. Several people try using this for drag racing, which you can, but you probably need to open these up because NASCAR engines, for the most part, were 358 cubic engines. Well, actually, for the most part, they all were. The compression ratio varied between whether the Cup, Busch, and Truck Series, but the point being is the engines were relatively small. Most drag race guys were at least 400 and above. Point being is, they also were running circle track where you have to get off the corner. So they need low speed torque to get off the corner, and they also need some high speed horsepower at the higher RPMs. Drag race, you just need more of the higher RPM. Point I'm trying to make is these ports, they might look huge, but they're small in cross section or they're moderate in cross section compared to what a drag racing engine application would be. Because again, they need that speed in the port to get the torque to get off the corners. So it's a little bit different. So yeah, you can use them. And several of the heads were purchased, and many drag racers actually use them. They're just much, much larger. They got bigger intake valves, probably smaller exhaust valves as well. So much, much different. I'll show you the flow numbers and stuff because it's outstanding. But let me flip it around now so you can see this side. This is where Ford guys often say, well, look, it's a Ford. Because when you see from this angle, you instantly think, well, they copied a Ford. Chevy copied a Ford. I hear that all the time from Ford guys. Until you look. Now do you see it? Let me move the light. Sorry. Doing this in one take because I got to get out of here. As soon as I stop blinding myself. There we go. You can kind of see there. Light's doing a little strobing effect. The port's facing that way. Now let's go to this one. Port's facing the other way. And you see? That's not a Ford thing. Ford, they all face one direction. That port would be the same here, here, here. You can tell how much better it works having it like this for a single plane manifold. So let me tilt this back again. Get this light out of the way. Sorry about the one take deal, I just don't have time. So that itself is different. These can bolt to a regular small block Chevy block. It does take some different stuff with a lifter to make it work. However, in later years, I know NASCAR used only SB2 block to work better, have a better lifter angle with these heads. A couple things with this. These plugs right here, these are removable. This is how you access the head bolt hole, which the camera's not really doing a great job because of the dark color. But you got to take this out, and the head bolt hole is in the port, which of course you can't see because I don't have lighting. There it is. You can see it right there. So you got to take this out to put the bolt in to tighten the head. Then you put the thing back on. So had to move a lot of stuff to make this happen. Of course, some of the later ones have these rail that goes on the top to spray oil on the springs to keep them cooler too. That was an add-on as well. But anyway, that's this. This is the exhaust port side. So that clearly says, I'm not a Ford, because you got the two together. I have no idea why Chevy decided to do that. But yeah, totally different. You could also see from the valve angles on this side. You can see how they're tilted. See how that's up and that one's that way? Yep, different. The exhausts, by the way, are all the same. When I was doing the valve job, they were all the same angle, so they're not tilted. As a matter of fact, I actually think they're in line. In case you're wondering what degree valve angle this is, I think it's 11 with a 4-degree cant. So you have 11 degrees tilted up and down, and then 4 degrees this way. So, but anyway, very, very nice deal. These make super grid power, but really what did you came for? You came for the flow sheet, so let me show you that. Here are the flow numbers, and this is flowed on my signs bench, not on the Superflow. Superflow would actually flow, it would numbers be higher. 4155 bore, no exhaust pipe. Look at this 400 number, 304 at 400 valve lift. That's with a 218 intake valve. That's outstanding. Just to give you an idea, I flowed my big block 385 head. That has a 2350 intake valve. That one flowed 306. So this one's right there with it with the smaller valve, smaller bore size. That's outstanding. Look at the 500 number, 349. Yeah, that's big block Chevy territory. And 600, 375, that's outstanding. It peaked at 382 at 7. Again, it's because the port size is fairly moderate. It's not too large. Obviously, I know for a fact there are people that have modified these to get them to flow pretty close to 500 CFM. So that's a highly modified version of this though. Anyway, really, really high up their flow numbers. I know also people that this exact head, like this SB2, have gotten in the 440s and stuff. So they'll go much higher, but this is just like I said, circle track port. It looks big, but it's not as big as it could be. So yeah, great there. And then it kind of trails off. Exhaust flow, outstanding, 281. Really good numbers, even at 4, you have 205, 206, so really, really good. Thing's outstanding. It's got small chambers designed to have, almost run a flat top with this thing and still have plenty of compression. Really, really good head. So in case you're wondering how good they are, they're really good. So anyway, hope you got something out of this video, and I'm no Superman. I probably made a ton of mistakes in this. I don't port cast iron heads. You guys take care.